Hello, and welcome to Neurodivergent Motherhood Unplugged, a live talk show and podcast where discussion flows freely around topics that impact our journeys as mothers to neurodivergent individuals. We share candidly, kindly, and inclusively about our experiences, hopes, and dreams. Join us in a place where you can feel seen, heard, and not alone. Hey everyone! Welcome to Neurodivergent Motherhood Unplugged. We are a live talk show so you can be as real and authentic as we can, and we're so happy you're here with us. I'm Claire, and beside me, as always, are Kirby Morgan.
Hello.
And Kimberly Marlar.
Hello.
Tonight, we're going to be discussing caregiver burnout. But in order for us to discuss this, we should probably describe the topic a bit more. So for the purposes of our show tonight, let's look at informal caregiving. Typically, a parent, partner, spouse, or friend providing care to another person in order for them to meet their daily living needs, medical needs, so on. If you don't live a lifestyle that involves giving that level of support to another person, you may not be aware of the strains that's placed upon the caregiver. The cumulative pressures can lead to burnout. Tonight, we are joined by our first guest, Renee Sellers. Yay, Renee!
Yay.
Hi,
Woo! Hi, Renee!
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Great.
So good. Thank you so much for joining us, Renee.
Of course, even with all the
Would
ins and outs.
you like to tell us a little bit about you and tell us about your role as a caregiver?
Yeah, so I'm Renee Sellers. I have the Facebook, Instagram page Life with Opal and Lucy because I have two girls that are on the autism spectrum. Opal is 5 and Lucy just turned 3 like 2 weeks ago. And so Lucy was diagnosed in September, and then Opal was diagnosed in 2020. So it's been a little bit for her, almost 3 years. And so I am a stay-at-home mom. My husband was a pastor for almost 8 years, and he actually just did like a whole new career change, and he actually works for a coffee shop. Yeah, I know. It's been crazy. He works for a coffee shop that employs adults with disabilities. So that's kind of our whole thing. We do disabilities. We have kiddos with disabilities, and we love it. So.
That's awesome.
Renee, that's amazing. Could you tell us, what's a typical day look like for you and the family?
That's a loaded question because I feel like every day is
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, Claire is coming with the heat tonight.
I am lit for this. Y'all know I love Renee, and I have got so much to ask her.
Yes. So
we're jumping in the deep end there, Renee.
Oh, totally fine. Today's Tuesday, so I'll just go over what a typical Tuesday looks like, I guess. So both of our girls, Opal is I hate like the labels and things, but Opal is much higher needs than Lucy. And so she's in more therapies, but they both do like ABA therapy in the mornings. And then Opal has speech therapy on Tuesdays. So we usually have like an hour in between therapies, which can kind of be hard because Opal done like sitting in the car, and then it's been like 40 degrees, so there's not really much to do, but it's not necessarily safe to take her into like the store or something. But today we got to go on the playground because it was warm, and it was a great day. So we do ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and Lucy is starting physical therapy next week. So it's packed over here.
Yeah, you are busy.
Busy. So that's a typical Tuesday.
Never a dull moment.
Never.
Claire, do you got another one?
Oh, girl, you know I am loaded with questions over
I think
here.
she was being quiet in case we had a question.
I know. I was
She's
like, well,
ready.
I blitzed in off of the deep end there, so I was like, I'm gonna see if anyone else has got anything there because I could go on all night here, guys. Well, that leaves me open for you said that Ethan just had basically a career change
I'm
and he has a
fascinated
new
by this.
job.
I am
I'm
fascinated
like,
by this
please,
because
I need all the
I
details.
I am so excited. First of all, I can't believe there's more than one of these coffee shops. How do we get one in California?
Yes.
And I'm fascinated that you guys are so committed to the world that we're kind of like we're thrown into. Let's just be honest. Like nobody woke up and decided that this is going to be our life, but it is. And instead of, you know, being down in the dumps, you guys have such a beautiful perspective and are changing the world really. And I'm fascinated by this career change. So tell me, how is Ethan liking it? Like, is he like, how is it going?
He is loving it. It is totally different than what he's always done. He actually went to college for pastoral ministry, so that's literally like pretty much all he's done even as an adult. Like I think he worked at a grocery store in high school, but that's literally like been his career. And we're Christians, you know, we go to church every Sunday and we know that ministry is a big deal. But ministry doesn't have to be in the four walls of a church either. And so now that we get to be the hands and feet of Jesus and actually go out and do things with people that we understand now, like it's so heavy on our hearts to help people with special needs that it was just like when that opportunity arose, it was kind of like a given. Like we just had to do it. So he's loving it. He loves coffee. Like he is obsessed with coffee. So it's really like the
Who
perfect.
is not? Me too.
Yeah. So, but it's
That
been
is-
crazy.
That's awesome.
So,
What's the coffee store called?
it's called Not Your Average Joe. So, which is so
Such a
cute,
good
isn't it?
name.
It's adorable. It's
So
adorable.
There's a couple other ones like around the country. Like I think it's Biddy and Bowes. I think that's in South Carolina and stuff. But this one is only in Oklahoma right now. But we're opening one in Amarillo, hopefully by the end of the year. So it is spreading out slowly but surely. So there's like I think Ethan's opening the 6th location. So
Wow, how awesome.
yeah.
That's
exciting.
amazing.
That's wonderful. That's truly marvelous. Like I want to go so badly. I think I just need to hop in the car one day and just drive because it'd
Do
be
it.
the best
Just
cup of coffee ever.
Yes.
Just drive. Just get in the car and just go.
Just
And then
go.
let me
Just
know
go.
when you're on the way that you went to go pick up some coffee. You're going to be back in a couple days.
What part
I'll
of,
see you tomorrow.
Yes.
what part of Oklahoma is it?
So Ethan will be opening a location in Oklahoma City. So they're
Oh.
the tallest tower in Oklahoma is the Devon Tower, and it's literally right next to it. So it's going to be a busy store. There's one near our house. There's, like I said, there's like 5 locations. There are like 2 in. Do you guys have Homeland grocery store? I don't know if that's like an Oklahoma thing.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. So
Never
probably
heard of it.
something. Yeah. So there's 2 of them are in like a grocery store.
Okay.
So
Oh, cool. I love that.
That is awesome. Well, I'm gonna
I
jump
can
in with a
so see Olivia enjoying that. Go for it, Kim.
All right, so I know with my religious background, I always get asked, how does autism affect your faith? So could you share a little bit of that?
that's also a loaded question.
We're on a roll tonight, girls.
I know, man. So and I'm not speaking for everyone, but I kind of like at the beginning, it's not that you feel like God left you. It's just kind of like, what? Like, why me? Why my child? Why my family? And when you're a Christian and you pray for things and things don't happen and they don't go your way, it's kind of like, is God still on my side? Does God still love me? And so I decided that I was not going to sit there and pout and say, woe is me, God didn't do this for me, and say, you know what, there is hope through all of this, no matter what. And so, absolutely affects faith, affects everything, I feel like. And so does special needs. So, to add those two together has been a wild ride. But the one thing that I remember is that God made my kids. And so if he made my kids, then he has great, great plans for them too. And if he made my kids, he made your kids, and they have great, great plans too. So,
Yes, that is amazing. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
I'm going to ask you, Renee, about having girls on the spectrum, because I only have little boys on the spectrum. And I know that your girls were pretty young when they were diagnosed. And I always, because I work in education advocacy, when I represent a little girl, it seems like our fight is much harder to prove her needs than it would be for if you copied and pasted and the only thing was different was the child's sex. So if it went from a female to a male, my the data I have to have or the conversation I have to have is so much different. So I'm just curious, how did you guys get to your diagnosis so early with little girls? Because I feel like that must have taken a lot of advocacy on your part.
Yeah. So with Opal, she had a huge regression at like 2.5. And so that was like a big like red flag to us, as in like, hey, something's up here. Like, and we brought it up. I remember we did like an Easter egg hunt in our yard, and Opal wanted nothing to do with it. And she hadn't been that way the year before. She like literally was just throwing fits. And I messaged her doctor, and I was like, Opal's wanting nothing to do with Easter, and we had just had a baby, and COVID had just happened. So she was like, well, that's a lot for a little toddler, just I don't think it's autism. And I was just like, what is autism? Like, I had no idea. And that was like the first time I ever started researching or looking. And so it was pretty soon after that she was diagnosed. So what, Easter's in like April, she was diagnosed in December. So that's kind of what led us down our road with Opal. And she was very like, I say the typical autism signs, like no eye contact, just stimming a lot. She kind of like was in her own little world when she hadn't been before. She lost all her language. So a lot of the typical things that you kind of find when you're like Googling it. Whereas with Lucy is more of, like you say, you have to fight more for the girls. Like, I feel like if Opal hadn't been diagnosed and I didn't do my own research and I didn't know a lot about autism, that I wouldn't have ever known like Lucy was autistic. I would have thought like she was behind. She's very good at masking. She will, like, when you're playing pretend, she'll say the same thing with the toy every time. Like, she's just very good at like watching people and acting that way. And like, I caught that like really early on. And there were a couple things like when we heard about autism and everything, Lucy was only a couple months old. So then we were like watching her every move, So she was diagnosed a little before 3, and Opal was 3. So she got diagnosed a little bit earlier than Opal, but it was because, we knew about Opal. And I don't know if this is true, but I feel like because my girls aren't like aggressive, that like in school, it's like, oh, whatever, she's fine. But then she just gets overlooked because her needs aren't being met. But it's because she's not, being aggressive. And she can be, but it's not towards other people. It's never towards other people. And so I think that's one thing like schools overlook. And like you were saying in the beginning.
What is the process of getting diagnosed? Like, what is the length? Because here you have to be on a waiting list for like 8 months. Is it like that there as well?
Yeah. So there's one place in Moore, Oklahoma. It's a 2-year wait list. But so the first one, it was like a private place, but they somehow just randomly took our insurance. So we were able to get in a little earlier. And I had like scheduled it for December, but they were like, well, we actually don't have an opening, but since you somehow got in, will honor that. So they were able to get her in a lot faster. And then with Lucy, we just kind of put her on multiple waiting lists and would just call and see like whoever had an opening, and we just got her in as soon as someone called us. So
I literally have called doctor's offices every day for Jaden, like to see if they had any like cancelizations. And I swear that people just get tired of me calling and give me an appointment. Like eventually they're just like, all right, ma'am, we're going to book you because this lady is serious and she's calling me every day.
Yep.
But you are spot on because Jaden is not aggressive. He is more, he really like when he gets upset, he more like genuinely cries like real tears. He gets very emotional. He's very upset about things. So he also at school would kind of get overlooked. And I kind of can put myself, this journey has been taught me a lot. So I can kind of put myself into the age shoes. And if there's a kid banging their head on the floor and there's only this one aide, I can understand why she went to stop the kid from banging their head. But at the same time, that would give Jaden the opportunity, and he's very opportunistic. So that would give him the opportunity to elope or to do something he's not supposed to be doing. And like 80% of the time he wouldn't, but it's that 20% of the time that he would, and he would get into some dangerous situations. And it was very hard because he wasn't aggressive, but he still needed that constant supervision for his own safety. And he has zero safety awareness. So I feel like without the aggression, they just will like, I found one school in California, and it's the one school that created the kindness challenge, the world kindness challenge, all over like all these countries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Carlsbad, California, and it was created by moms, and it's the Great Kindness Challenge, and that was the greatest school ever. So that is where my comparison goes when I'm bringing Jaden to a school, and I just have not found him a program. And I have helped so many families in IEPs, and I just think that without when you don't have that level of aggression or behavior, they just kind of like push them away.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that with your kids in your their school?
Ours is a little bit different because Lucas is aggressive. So
right, that's what I was gonna say.
We're kind of on the flip side of that, yeah. But I do understand that, which he hasn't really been in a classroom setting where it's a bunch of other special needs kids, except right now. And I think there's him and one other little girl in there. So it's more of a private setting is what he needs, But they were concerned with him being in an actual class for the other children's safety. So I'm on the back end of that side where it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's really hard on both sides of the pendulum there. I see Laughing at Flowers agreeing, and she's saying how her son didn't become aggressive until 4th grade, so often overlooked. And there's one image of the child and how they perform in a school setting. And then when that shifts, there's a sudden need to, like you say, play catch up. Being homeschoolers, we don't have a huge amount of experience. Ella did go to kindergarten, most of kindergarten. She struggled hugely. Ella's a massive internalizer, and she was seen as the perfect student. I was told by everyone who saw her, taught her, parents who'd come in, she is perfect. She must be so easy at home. She must be literal perfection. And she's a rule follower, but to the T, so literal. Everything is black and white in her world. And you tell her to do something, she's going to do it. We actually praise any tiny rebellious streak we get from her. But she then starts to internalize everything, and she starts to get really, really worked up. Then she comes back to her safe place, and it's like the volcano can erupt. And that's really difficult to find support for when there's no outward expression of the turmoil that's going on inside, and it's just bubbling away. So she's not focusing on the work she should be focusing on. She's just trying to hold it together. I don't know if there's anyone there who has experienced that, but it's so hard, guys, and every kiddo's needs are so valid, but so wide and different.
Yeah, so different. And I think that's like the biggest misconception about autism. Like, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
Yeah,
I feel like we're all nodding dogs there. We're all like, yes. That is so
yeah. Lucy's a lot like, oh my gosh, I did not, Ella. Oh my gosh, Renee Nicole. Lucy's a lot like Ella, because at therapies and things, they're like, she's perfect. She did everything she was asked. There were no behaviors. And I'm like, but we're seeing all these behaviors at home. Like, you don't believe a word I'm saying, but I promise you they happen. So, like, even to the point where they're like, well, she doesn't really need this therapy. And I'm like, but you don't see what happens at home.
I know, we have been in that position, and we kind of are. Like, Lucas goes in the OT, and he's this perfect, and he is an angel, don't get me wrong, but he just does everything so perfect. And then we get home, and I'm like, can I just take you home with me to show you what happens when we walk in the door?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So frustrating.
Yeah, it's with us. It's so much more apparent with Olivia. She's not going to want to engage outside of her safe spot, which is home, and the sensory processing side for her really kicks into gear. And I find that, for me, so exhausting when we leave our sanctuary of home. We're talking about bowling. We went bowling at the weekend, and even on a sensory friendly scale, it's a lot of work. As mom, you have to think about the preparation that goes into that. There's social stories, there's warnings, or we're giving her visuals of what we're going to do, when we're going to do. There's a lot of build up to an event, and then the event itself, you need to prepare. She's going to want headphones if it's too loud, and there's going to be people. What's she going to expect? How's she going to react there? She was very overwhelmed when we did go. I wanted to push through. We were around safe people in a safe place, being a sensory friendly setting. But it's like, oh my gosh. And by the end, I'm done. And I feel burned out. Do you guys get like that when you try and do these one single activities and it's just like, whoa.
It's a lot mentally and like physically. You're preparing, like you said, it's so much build up, and then I don't know about you guys, but I already jump ahead. I'm like, this is going to go bad and we're going to all be yelling at each other. I already set myself up for failure. And that's something I'm working on personally, is to not do that. So that's what I had. One question for Renee. Like, what do you do when you're in the midst? Like, what do you do for yourself when you're right in the middle of caregiver burnout? Do you have any advice, or what do you do?
I feel like I could definitely use some advice in that area.
I think we all can.
Right? I eat tacos, so I eat tacos. I don't know what y'all do.
Dairy Queen ice cream today, so
I get myself some tacos from my favorite taco shop.
Yes. I have been in therapy before for it, and that is one thing that when I know caregiver burnout is causing me to be upset with my kids more and just emotional and all the things, I go to therapy. And one of the things that she said, everyone talks about how you can't pour from an empty cup. She said, technically that's kind of true, but she said, you don't have to pour from a full cup either. Like, one little thing that you do for yourself is filling your cup a little bit so you can pour it out again. Like, just because it's not full doesn't mean you can't pour from it. And so when she told me that, I was just like, you're right. She's like, put on your favorite song while you're making them dinner. Like, do these little tiny things, because even those little tiny things will get you through the day and will help you. I mean, when she told me that, I was just like, this is why you go to therapy, people.
And thank you for sharing that, because I think that's something
that's solid advice.
Not shared enough. That's
yes.
It is. We're always told to fill up your cup, do something for you. Like, this expectation that if you go away for a few hours, you're going to come back this new person and you're ready to go again. And it's just not true. That's
Mhm.
the best perspective ever. Just topping it up as long as there's something in that cup.
Yep. As long as there's something.
That's fantastic. Thank you for
I love
sharing
that.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here in stunned awe for a minute and just drink that
I
one
know, like,
in.
That's so good.
When
very
when
nice.
when me and Amanda DeLuca record and she says something like, or we have like a moment, we're like, oh my god, that was like, let's just take it, like that was like brilliant. Like I don't know where that came from, but that was a moment. Let's just absorb it. But no, I think
Yes.
it's very, very true. And I think as caregivers, we often think that taking a shower or like keeping up with like we brush our teeth today is giving ourselves some self-care, when for me the self-care has to be something I enjoy, something that makes me happy, where brushing my teeth is just going through the motions,
Yeah.
and like taking a shower is just going through the motions. I'm not the type of person that likes to sit in the shower with like a conditioner in my hair, or I like start thinking and then I get bored and but I have ADHD. I cannot, like, that's too long. But I think that that's a common misconception. And self care doesn't have to be something huge. Like you said, it could be putting on your favorite song or your favorite podcast or your favorite, or listening to a book in the background. So it's your light. Because I don't know about you guys, but my life feels like Groundhog Day sometimes. Like it's just like the same. Okay, so it's Tuesday. What do we do on Tuesdays? Okay, it's Wednesday. Jackson gets out of school early Wednesday. So we just do our Wednesday thing. Is it the same?
It's just a repeating cycle. Yeah.
But I feel like it's repeating chaos though, like not the same things. It's like every Tuesday's different, but like you're used to it, like the chaos.
Right.
Mhm.
It's like, what's going to happen to, like,
Yeah,
this is our plan. This is the things we have to do. What's going to pop up
exactly.
from start to finish? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like our family thrives in chaos too. I don't know what we would do in a calm day. Like I think it was Monday that we didn't have anything and we just sat home all day. And the whole family was like, what are we doing? We're so bored. Because we're so used to doing something or, chaos happening at all times. So I was like, what? We just get to sit on our couch today? This is weird. Does any of our people watching live have any questions for Miss Renee?
I like what
Yeah,
Laura
shoot
said
them along.
here. She says, yes, I feel like you have to stay 5 steps ahead of every possible scenario. Yes. That's why when I
Yes.
leave, I have so much stuff.
Unless you want constant meltdowns or to just leave when you get somewhere. Yeah, you've got to be 5 steps ahead.
For sure. How do
That's
your girls
so
do?
Olivia.
What
Did
did you
you
say,
ask a
Kim?
question?
Yeah. How do your girls do in public outings?
It just depends on the day. Opal, we never know really. And I think because she can't communicate things, I don't know if she was scared of a dog that was outside or if a certain fan at a certain grocery store is too loud or like we just never know with her because she can't communicate. Lucy is a performer, so she will wave at every single person.
Oh,
She is very, very social, but I think that it really wears her out. Like we talked about, like a little bit of masking earlier and like learning, like knowing, like you wave at everyone. And it's like, she might wave at you, but if you try to have a conversation, she doesn't necessarily like know how to have a conversation. So, public, it just depends. I don't usually go out in public alone with both of them just because Opal, she elopes, like runs, but like she more like wanders off. Like she's not necessarily like bolting. She will do that, but she wanders a lot. So we're actually trying to get a disability placard right now so that I can go to the grocery store with both of them. So it's like right there instead of like parking way down the parking lot. So it just depends on the day.
yeah.
The wondering, that's a really good point, Renee. I love that. Olivia is very, very similar because you hear a lot about eloping and bolting, but Olivia is the same, and it really has my guard up all the time because she's there 1 minute, and there's no warning, no struggle, no reason. She just wanders off.
Yep.
So we've got some space where we live. And we've got neighbors. There's often people out grilling in the summer, whatever. We invite each other over. And if there's a group of neighbors, we're in a familiar area. Next thing I know, Olivia is way down there. She's just wandered off, just left the crowd, and she's just chasing a butterfly. She's doing her own thing. But you can't say, stay within this area. Or in the parking lot, she's beside the car. The next thing you know, she's just walking off.
Yep.
And it's terrifying because you have to be alert all the time. And there's no hint that she's just going to just doze along.
That's why Turtle has literally been life-saving for us. Because I can buckle him to a turtle and then we go. It is fantastic. Because
Yeah.
Lucas
That's
and
amazing. I love that.
Yeah, Jaden's service dog say like he used to climb everything. So like I would literally have to get a step ladder to get him off the top of the refrigerator when we lived in military housing. So when we were moving, the first thing I would check at any house, like when we were looking to purchase a new home, is like, do you have cabinets on top? Like, is there like a snug nook? Because if he can get on top of there, it's
like
gonna
a little
be
Billy goat.
Game over.
He used to sit on like his legs straddling the door. I don't know how he got up there. He would climb, but he would be at the top shelf of the pantry watching his iPad, and I would know by the sound of the music, like the Sesame Street. I'd be like, "Where is he? I hear him, but I don't see him."
Look it up.
Yes.
Wow.
So you can't climb when you have 100-pound lab strapped to you. And we have a handicap placard, and I think it took me a while to feel like to use it and feel like, okay, I'm gonna. And we even have a wheelchair for safety because Jaden also has epilepsy, and some days his medicine affects him. Or we're going to Jackson's soccer game, and there's 27 fields, and it's really hard to keep him safe.
Yeah.
And he has no sense of danger. I don't know if your kids have a sense of danger, but Jaden has zero. If a stranger has a soda, he's going up to that stranger and being like, soda, because, he's
Lucas
taught.
wants to lay in everyone's bed.
Oh my God, Jaden does too. If Jen Dunn is watching, if you guys know Jen, she is such a but he was all in her bed last time she came to San Diego, and she was encouraging him and giving him chips. I'm like, he's never leaving your bed.
That's Lucas. Like, he will walk in someone's home and he'll say bed, okay? And he goes like crawls in their bed. I'm like, dude, you can't.
You can learn a lot about someone from their bed,
Apparently.
Yeah.
He's like, TV, like, let's get this rolling.
Yes.
Oh, that's the best life.
I'm telling you.
Renee, do you have any
hysterical.
advice for a new mom starting out on her autism journey?
Breathe. Might not get easier, but you will get stronger, and just breathe. You don't have to know the future now. The future can be in the future. So
I was laughing at someone's comment.
Renee, you're coming in strong with the wisdom tonight. Thank you.
just breathe, people. That's one word. Breathe.
Breathe. That's great. It is.
Yeah.
It
Kim,
is.
what got you laughing, girl?
Because I think at the beginning you feel like you have to solve everything, and
Yeah.
like you feel like you're running on like you're trying to catch up,
Mhm.
and they tell you by age this they need to do X, Y, Z. Well, Jaden is 12, and between the ages of 9 and 12, I have seen the most developmental growth from him than I have seen with the 40-hour-a-week therapy schedule that I have seen more in the last 3 years than I was just told so many things he would never do that now there's just no limit. There is no limit. And it really, I had to close that door of trying to fix and trying to see and know what our future was going to be. I wanted a crystal ball, and the reality is there is none. There is no crystal ball. So with or without one, there
Well,
is
and then
none.
you're thrust into this life, and they're not really giving you advice or helping you. They're just kind of like, do this and hope for the best. But okay, well, how do I get there? Oh, there's a 3-year waiting list. Like, you just told me that I have to do early intervention. Like, how does that work? So, I mean, they really don't set us up for success either. So,
no, that
And
is
that's
so true.
It is true, and it's crazy for me to hear that from a newer mom, because I literally got a sheet of paper and a letter. They're like, here, give this letter, and you call these people, and good luck. Have a great day. Bye. And I was like, I still have the paper. I still have the paper, and it's just like laughable to me.
yeah.
And that's why we wanted to create something where we could, so when the moms are Googling late at night, they didn't see what I found, because 8 or 9 years ago, it was almost scary, the things that were on the internet, and there wasn't much of fellowship, where I think that we have so many moms have come together and created such community that it's remarkable. I think that it's something that is so special. So thank you for Renee for being here with us.
Yes,
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Speaking of advice, I've got a question. Sorry, Kim, I put it in front of you there.
Go ahead.
I have one question for you, Renee. If someone is looking to support a caregiver in a similar position to you, would you have any suggestions or anything that would help you that others might like to know?
Don't give unsolicited advice. No, I'm just kidding. But just listen. If we are like trust you enough to talk to you about something, don't sit there and say that our feelings are not valid. Don't say that you understand. Just sit there and listen and ask. Say, okay, I listened. I hear you. How can I help? I will always take a Starbucks drink. I will always take a Grubhub gift card. I will always take, hey, I'll sit with your kid in the living room for an hour while you do the dishes or something. Like, it's just simple things that I think we overcompensate and we overthink, like, oh, well, you know, she needs me to clean her whole house. Well, no, because I'd have to clean my house before you clean my house. So that's not really going to help me. So just little things like, I don't know, you see a rainbow. We love rainbows in our house. You see a rainbow at Walmart and you drop it off at my house. Like, you just don't understand how big that is, you know, just little tiny things. Make me dinner. I mean, I don't know. Like Kirby said, bring me some tacos. That'd be great.
Tacos make everything better.
They do.
Tacos or pizza?
Yes.
We all had pizza today because of Jackson.
I took Jackson on a little date today, on our little adventure, just me and him, because he doesn't have school. And I was teasing everybody at the pizza place with our pizzas.
But it was
We all had to go home and get
pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Renee. And next week, we are going to have Ryan Lefevers with us from My Heroes, my Raising Boys on the Spectrum. He is a dad, and I can't wait to have him on next week. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.